These are the fighters that the UFC hates. Let's start with someone that will fight this weekend. Dustin Jacoby. What has Dustin Jacoby done to the UFC? I just want to know this. Did he kill someone? Did he cuck you or something? Like, Dustin Jacoby is a 3-5 KO streak. I get it, they're kind of bums or something, but KO Petrino. Is it because he KO Petrino? Who knows? Why do they hate him? Because Petrino is handsome. How can you give him a random guy? I don't even know who it was. Muslim debutant. Just immediately. Who knows? But the only reason I can come up with is that he beat Khalil Roundtree and he got robbed by him, and they hate that he made their boy look bad because they love Khalil Roundtree. They love him. If you look at which fighters the UFC hates the most, just hates them, it's either old men that they want to feed the young guys, Jared Cannonier for example, or the fighters that beat the fighters they want to promote. It's true though, it's a fact. Just look it up. What? Jan needs to fight someone on short notice? How can you not give him Neville Sterling on short notice? How can you not do this? What about Justin Jacoby? No. The UFC is so blatant sometimes. But this is the first one that I put on this list because I cannot come up with a specific reason besides Justin Jacoby is old. I cannot come up with a conspiracy theory because they hate him, right? And now the UFC is using the AI ELO ranking created by the Indians at Meta. They can't hide the greatness of Justin Jacoby, even though they're still giving him a random Muslim guy. So you would think that after the rankings, they would give him a ranked opponent and maybe a Khalil rematch, No. Khalil loses brutally by KO, number one contender again, of course. Why not? I still want to know when this AI ranking will become the standard because it's confusing. Is it even real? Does it even matter, or is just the UFC doing just one-on-ones? Oh, say his name. Oh, say his name. King of the Unks. Hani Barcelos. We all know why the UFC hates Hani Barcelos. He's old, he's ancient, he's a grappler, and most of all, he beat their boy Peyton Tabit. Barcelos is ranked in the meta rankings, and Tabit is gone. The UFC must be pissed. They must be like, what? How the guy doesn't understand that Peyton Tabit is the best fighter in the world? What do you mean? He beat Henry Cejudo and Lima. That's the best wins in the UFC. Why doesn't understand this? But yeah, it was really funny what happened after Barcelos beat Tabit, because you could see the UFC noggin jogging after the loss. Because Tabit fought Lima in a terrible boring decision that he won because Lima wanted to be cute with his takedowns, so he lost. And after that the UFC went, how can you not give him a ranked opponent? How can you not do this? After that they took him to the dumpster and found the most washed, slow, old fighter they could find in the rankings, and they gave him retiring, small, old, washed, trash, and Cejudo. And he beat him. That fight should have went to Barcelos, but nope. The UFC punished him for beating Tabit, so they began throwing fighters at him. They started punishing him, Instead of giving a ranked opponent because he beat him, no. It's time for punishment. They're just throwing fighters at him, hoping that one would beat him. Cody Gamrot, nope. Ricky Simone, nope. And then I was like, okay, we need to give him a ranked opponent because he's gonna beat the other guys, and maybe he's gonna throat check another prospect that we like. So we're gonna give him someone that we think is gonna beat him. He's younger, faster, bigger. Montel Jackson, nope. All fell to the great king of the unks. So Barcelos got ranked after beating Montel Jackson, but he should have fought Cejudo Vera. No, we give Vera to Martinez. I understand you don't want old fighters ranked because they ruin promotability, they're old, and the vision. And no one wants to see old fighters litter the rankings and ruin the vision between a 36-year-old and a 37-year-old. People want fresh, young fighters, and if they're young, they can UFC can keep them around for longer. They can build like fan bases and edit and whatever, all that stuff. If they're old, a couple of years they'll be gone. So all the resources they will put on like that fighters will be wasted after like a couple of fights. Of course, they don't want that. Everybody wants to see Peyton Tabet and all his testiness, but the Unk doesn't accept defeat. He's on a title round now, and no one can stop him. And the UFC every day wakes up and prays for the Unk, the king of the Unk downfall. The next two, I will combine them. The UFC hates Evoloev and Imavov, but not for like some weird reason. Because they're boring and have no personality. And I bet that they have the stats or the numbers of how many people show up for an Imavov fight. And Imavov in particular is nothing to him. Just a boring guy. Yes, EKO Adesanya. Welcome to the club. And after cheating as well. Like, and Borjayo in a boring decision. And against Allen in a boring decision that Allen was winning, but he had to get high on chromosomes and just slam his head on the mat over and over and over again because he's stupid. Imavov doesn't have the personality, the likability, or the hateability to be a champion. He doesn't create drama or discourse. He's just an NPC moving around like a robot. Imavov at range, throwing pillow punches and cheating. That's all he does. You know, maybe some kicks. And Evoloev, besides having no personality, besides being a nonce, he fights once a year. The UFC hates that. UFC hates inactive fighters. If you're active, you will get many opportunities quickly. Diego Lopez, he gets like 5 title shots a week. But the most important thing is that Evoloev is not from Dagestan, so the UFC doesn't care. And most of all, he pulled out from the Pico fight. And not only that, initially he just said no to the fight. Like, why should Evoloev, on a 10-9-8 fight win streak, how much was at the time, why should he fight a random guy coming into UFC when he's undefeated? But the UFC loves Pico because he's friends with Chimaev. And the UFC sometimes tries really hard to create stars. So much that they get fixated on a fighters and they don't budge. Daniel Zahubert is a perfect example. What? You lost to Michael Johnson? Don't worry about it. Here's Bobby Green. Get KO'd. You know, they hoped that he would have KO'd Bobby Green because I bet they thought Daniel Zahubert was the future of the sport. He was such a cool guy even though he already lost. And listen, if you're not from Dagestan, grappling is not allowed. If you don't take fights the UFC wants you to take, you will get punished. The lesson is to never annoy or bore the UFC. They hate that. They not tell me. I want to know, what has Nathaniel Wood done to be disrespected like this? Why is he fighting Mayron Santos? By the way, in your epic wishy Metal Lizard rankings, Nathaniel Wood is ranked. But kid, how could you not give Pico a ranked opponent after get KO'd by Leroy Murphy? What? You are on a 4-fight winning streak? Sorry kid, best we can do is a ranked guy that missed weight last time. Did Wood fuck your wife? Then and you caught him in the act, and this the way he gets punished. The only reason for why Wood is getting the short end of the stick is because he sometimes complains on Twitter that he's not getting ranked opponents. Think this. Lucy Nkita, random balding black guy, gets to the UFC, gets signed to the UFC, and the UFC goes, how can you not give him Pitbull, a ranked opponent, as his first fight? Look at this kid. Kita misses weight, and the fight falls through. But then the UFC gives Kita to Wood, and Wood clearly wins. But he went to a split decision because you know the UFC has these ninjas around, and they work in mysterious ways. You know how it is. I don't even know why they hate him. He's not even boring. He always fumbles a finish. Every fight he fumbles a finish. But he's not boring. Losing Kita, ranked opponent immediately. Wood beats Kita, no ranked opponent. What is this? That the UFC just hates him. Did Wood farts in their face? Did he piss off the matchmakers? What did he do? Did he say no sometimes to some fight? What is this? Did he say no immediately losing Kita? Now he's back. What is this? I want to know. Maybe one day Wood had diarrhea and like a geyser just hit the face of Dana, just smeared it all over with his hands, and then they just put it in their eyes and their nose and their ears. Wood feels like a Sisyphus, forced to just fight every time for the hope for a ranked opponent that will never come. Justice for Wood. Gamrot. You can only laugh at how the UFC treats Gamrot. He was only able to fight Oliveira on short notice because otherwise he was never gonna happen. That fight was never gonna happen otherwise. First, he's a smudge gambler, already minus 1,000 not Dagestani. Beats all the fighters the UFC wants to push. Klein, Ribovic, even Arman. Uses black magic to snap Fiziev ACL in the main event of a fight night of an Apex card. The UFC is against magic, so insert Rince's prospect as Gamrot as fought him. He's even fight style kill next. This is insane. You would think the UFC would reward him for being a company man, to always step up. Nope. The UFC reveal their pure hatred for Gamrot. One day, years ago, when Islam Makhachev fight fell through because Olives got a nasty cut on his forehead or whatever it was, and tried to use staples to close the injury and the cut, so he had to pull out. But guess who was the replacement? Who was the replacement for the fight? The official replacement? Gamrot. But instead of making Gamrot versus Islam, they called drunk, depressed, post-surgery Volkanovski, and we all know what happened. So Gamrot is the official replacement for the fight? Nope. Isn't that funny? That's really funny. The UFC hates MVP, and so do I. We all hate MVP, and I think the most reasonable it's the most reasonable one. MVP is boring, doesn't do nothing at range besides fainting and doing nothing. We got lucky with the Holland fight, but after that MVP just stayed in a range doing nothing, and against Patterson he just did nothing, and it was the worst fight of all time. And not only that, the UFC must be paying him good money, and they're not seeing the benefit to just pay him this much to keep him around, because even the fans hate him. Even the fans can't stand MVP anymore. MVP in his next fight must KO his next opponent or put a fun fight, because otherwise, when his contract is finished, I'm pretty sure just one fight, the next fight is last one. When he's finished, he will be cut because he's boring. Valentina Shevchenko, the witch that will not go away. We all know the UFC was sniffing fair loins after Grasso submitted Valentina. They must have reached nirvana in that moment. Then, in the second fight, they planted a crafty draw to keep Grasso champion and Valentina the witch away. And in the third fight, they committed Sudoku. Real bad. They were in full depression. Then UC gave her Mano Fiora, and she beat her in a boring-ish decision. The UFC pulled a terrible move, maybe the worst move they ever made, and gave Zhang a title shot up on weight class, where she was blobbed for 5 rounds. And the UFC knows it's gonna happen again. Natalia Silva will get blobbed by Valentina. She got taken down by Rosa Mayunas. She's gonna get blobbed again. The UFC wants this eye gone. She got no sex appeal, no ass, let's be honest. It's just only weirdos like Valentina, so no one cares. And the UFC hates it. You know, they want hot women, and of course they want that gone. They want that gone, hair gone. They want hair gone. This hag. And the fighter the UFC hates the most, the fighter the UFC will never forgive. They will never accept back in the "we will give you many favors" club. Arman Tsarukyan. There are many things the UFC hates, and Arman checked all of them. All of them. Every single thing they hate, Arman checked it. Causing problems towards fans during events. Arman punched a fan during the walkout against the Olives. The UFC hates that. The UFC doesn't want to get sued. Pulling out at main events. Arman pulled out on the first pay-per-view numbered event of the year against Islam. The biggest fight, the most anticipated fight in a long time. And not only that, for the UFC it was a storyline that was being finished. Arman came on short notice against Islam and gave him one of the hardest fight he ever had, with the great grappling and all that. It was a short notice, he was younger, and now years later they fight again. Nope. Now Islam has to fight Renato Moicano. You know, the UFC was pissed. But now Arman stopped accepting fights and disappeared and starts doing grappling nonsense. Then he fights Dan Hooker, causing problems before a fight. Arman headbutts Dan Hooker at the face-off. The USA hates that stuff. You cannot do that. You can shove him, kind of. You can kind of slap him. Don't headbutt them. Don't do stupid stuff. Did you know that he was offered a fight against Gamrot? But nah, bro. He needs to fight at RAF against old man influencers. And the first time he faces a good wrestler like Kobe, he gets humbled. If Arman wants to be in the grace of the UFC again, he needs to fight. Otherwise, they might can him because he's such a nuisance. But Arman is lucky, because the UFC loves Nina drama, and he smashes that hag on a regular basis instead of being with his wife and children. Anyway, this was my list. If you have any other fighter, leave in the comment, maybe part 2, and subscribe and leave a like and all that. Have a good day.